brother.
Garbage day!
Huh?
No!
Hey, we're on.
Fucking fans suck!
Welcome back. My name is John, and this is the Dewey Monster Podcast. This is your weekly podcast about consumption. It is just two of us this week, and with me this week is Sean, who is the host of the Dewey Monster Podcast. Sean, how are you doing today? Can't hear you.
Perfect. Let me do that again. Perfect. Perfect like my steak, raw on one side, fried on the other. How about you, John? How are you doing?
Not that perfect. So, I'm doing all right. It's a Monday. I don't know what else to say. You know, I went to work. I came home. I'm awake. It's Monday. So
That's a thing. It's
it
a
is
Monday.
a thing. So, you watch anything good this week? I know it's only been a couple days since we last chatted, or anything that we wanted to bring up that we didn't talk about 2 days ago.
A few days ago.
Yeah.
Time warp for the people listening at home. I talked a few months ago, right around Super Bowl, about Roof Ball. Do you remember my discussion with you about Roof Ball?
I do. I still need to watch more Roof Ball. I enjoy that. It was like a 10-minute intro video or something like that you'd sent.
Yeah. Well, you'll be excited to hear that they just held the Roof Ball Motor City Championship in Livonia, Michigan this past weekend, and it's on YouTube for you to watch.
Where in Livonia? I grew up in, like, that was to say that I actually lived in for a long time. Where in Livonia was it?
I'm not really sure. They didn't put a map up. They didn't consult me, but it's somewhere in Livonia. And it's weird because it's interesting because they, obviously it's a different house. So they have a different pipe and they have to do different things. The pipe on this house. So anybody that's not familiar, Roof Ball is basically a game where you take a football and you try to either hit this pipe on a roof or you try to get it around the pipe. And those are different points and you catch the ball off the roof and all this stuff. But the pipe is in this house in Livonia is so far back that I only watched about half an hour of it. I have to watch the rest of it. It's like over 2 hours long, but they
it's dedication.
From what I watched, only like 3 people were able to hit the pipe. So it's like super far back. It's so easy to throw it over the roof. And if you throw it over the roof, you lose points. So that was interesting, but I thought that was cool that they just did the Motor City one. We talked about this, you and I talked about it before off mic. We talked about Winning Time. I won't get into that, but I watched the newest episode of that. And then I think I have a new favorite TV show.
So before you get into that, I also have been marathoning through Winning Time. I'm now caught up all the way to season 2, episode 2. So the one that came out yesterday, I haven't watched yet. But I'm thoroughly hooked on that show. Like like most HBO shows, if you give them a chance, they're gonna sink their claws into you, and you're gonna have to deal with some kind of dragon grip or something like that.
Dragon grip? Is that what you said?
Dragon claw, dragon grip. I don't know.
Okay, hey,
some bad kung fu algorithm or something. Algorithm is not the right word. I really like John C. Reilly in that show. I really like John C. Reilly, period. So that probably helps quite a bit. When this comes out in the audio form, not the live stream form, might have already heard our episode on Extra, and we talk about it a little bit on there. But I could see us doing an episode just on the first 2 seasons of Winning Time because we both seem to be relatively invested in it at this point.
And I like that it's short. They're short seasons. It's an HBO show,
Yeah.
so it's a short season. It's what, 8 to 10 episodes. I don't remember how many the first season was.
First one was 10.
That makes sense.
I don't know how many this is gonna. I'm assuming
They're
it's
generally
also gonna
10.
be 10. Yeah.
But the other show that I'm watching that, again, is like my new favorite, it's on HBO, and this is the third season. I've watched the first 2 seasons, but I've kind of just watched them. They're half-hour shows. It's How To with John Wilson. I think it comes on either before or after Winning Time. I think they come out on Sunday.
I've not even heard of that one.
Okay, so it's on HBO. It's produced by
Mhm.
Nathan Fielder. So if you know who Nathan Fielder, it's got that Nathan Fielder vibe to it. You know, it's a little bit kind of off the wall, a little strange. But John Wilson's this nerdy guy. He lives in New York City, and the show starts off with a premise. Like the most recent episode I watched is called How to Work Out, and somewhere it starts off kind of going, he goes to a trainer and whatever, and then in the middle of the show, or soon after that, it's only a 23 or 25-minute show. Probably within the first 5 minutes of every show, it just goes off the rails. Like one of the trainers tells him, oh, you need to get some photos, or you need to get some pictures taken of your body so that you can see, when you get these gains, basically how your body is transformed, because you're not going to just remember it off the top of your head. So
Right.
he takes this little diversion and he goes to a cat show, and there's this guy who's a photographer. He has all these cat portraits, and he's like, well, would you be willing to take my picture for this thing? I have to take my shirt off. I need this picture taken. And the guy decides to take the picture. And before he can email him the pictures after he's done touching them up or whatever he was going to do, the guy gets his camera gear stolen from the cat show. So John Wilson meets this woman who is a mystery writer, and she writes mystery books about cats. So he like consults her to see if she can help him figure out what happened to this guy's camera. And she's like, well, somebody with a baby stroller could have come and, for cats, because that's something that happens at cat shows, could have stuffed all the guy's camera equipment in the bag. And he ends up getting this lady to take his picture, and she's kind of uncomfortable about it. But anyways, it eventually wraps up and kind of comes back to the original premise of the episode. But the show is all shot first person. So he carries a camera around with him constantly, either his phone or like a camcorder, basically. And it's all in New York City, the surrounding areas. So you'll get a lot of candid footage of people kind of spliced into what he's narrating, because a lot of it's just him narrating the show. And it's just all this weird stuff that happens out in public, all this candid stuff. It's all documentary style, really weird, but I find the show hilarious. I mean, I also find stuff like Tim and Eric, or, Dr. Steve Brule. Check it out with Dr. Steve Brule. I find stuff like that hilarious too. So
speaking of John C. Reilly.
Yeah. So maybe that's just me. One thing, John C. Reilly is Jerry Buss. That hair.
Yeah.
Magnificent.
Oh, his whole
amazing
in that show is magnificent. He's an actor that, like, you don't think of as a guy who puts on a lot of weight or loses a lot of weight for movies, but if you really look at his roles over the years, he definitely does. But he's carrying a 80s beer belly like to perfection in this show. So
it might just be him, though. It might just be his walking around.
Yeah, it could be, but I mean, he is, like I said, he accentuates it with those. I mentioned it last week. Those super low cut, like button down shirt, not low cut. He just doesn't fucking button them because he's kind of a slob. But yeah, he's got the early 80s, late 70s look down, like just chef's kiss. Perfect. It's almost like he might have lived it or something. So, well, I didn't watch I didn't watch a whole lot this week other than Winning Time, but what I was watching before we came on was a couple of some random guy, but he made 2 different videos, and they're basically called Steven Seagal is a piece of shit. And they're about 30-minute deep dives on why Steven Seagal is a horrible person. I'm only like a quarter of the way through it. Like I had to finish watching our topic, so because that would probably be smart to watch the topic before we talk about it. But I guess he made I'm watching him in the wrong order. Like the second one just had a funnier title, so I was like, okay, well, Steven Seagal is a piece of shit. Let's see what this says. he is essentially just breaking down every element of this man's character. And I don't mean characters like his roles, the human being, Steven Seagal,
Yeah,
and
his
just
human
throwing
character.
all his, just throwing all his shit all over the place. And it kind of intertwines with some of his roles too. But I don't know. We'll see where it goes. Like, I don't know if it's going to be interesting enough to go back and watch the first one, but if it is, I'll send it to you because you might get a kick out of just hearing how he's a shitty human being, as if we couldn't
Yeah, I
guess
think
that.
I know a bit about it, but I'd watch it. Yeah, for sure.
It's total clickbait title. I totally admit that. I fell for it. And again, 15, 20 minutes in, I'm like, well, I'm not uninterested yet. So that's a good thing. So,
Keeping my interest.
yeah. Do you got anything else you want to? I know we don't have a ton to go into as far as like other stuff. Do you have anything else you want to hit on before we get into the meat and potatoes, the uncooked meat in the vegetable bowl?
No, I have a lot to talk about, especially the director of the movie, so we can get into it if you'd like.
I'm all for it. So, this week we are talking about the movie Undefeatable, which I'm 90% sure is not a fucking word, but that's fine. This movie came out in 1993. It stars Cynthia Rothrock and a bunch of other fuckers, and is essentially, well, we'll get to that in a second. So, we're supposed to read a review first,
We
aren't
are.
I? So our third party review for the week, I like this one. I had a different one lined up, but this one is so random that I like it better. Anonymous, of course, that fucker. 1 star, and this person writes, so Troll 2 has an action movie equivalent. That's the whole review. So,
Yeah, appropriate.
Sean, tell me what this movie's about.
All right, well, I'll read the IMDb storyline and the plot because they're very similar, and they're each just a sentence. So the storyline or the plot, which one's which?
I think they're
The
both a
plot.
sentence.
Yeah. The plot is Christy Jones, Cynthia Rothrock, avenges her sister's death at the hands of a crazed martial arts rapist. And the storyline, Christy Jones, Cynthia Rothrock, avenges her sister's death at the hands of a crazed martial arts rapist. They're just slightly different. No, I think they're actually the same.
No,
It's
I
just the
think
way
they're
the line
exactly the
break is
same.
on the website that makes it look like it's a little different. I've got a longer synopsis that I've written, like a breakdown of the story.
I was going to
I
say
wanna
that's pretty much the story. We can end the show right now if you want.
That's true. No, you have to talk about this. So I've brought up the director's name, the director of this movie's name, a few times on episodes, and whenever I say the name, it means a lot to me, but it means nothing to anyone else that listens or has like been on the show when I've mentioned the name. So the director of this movie is Godfrey Ho. And if you look at Godfrey Ho's credits, I guess his directorial credit, he has 157 credits on his IMDb page. And let me read some of them from the last.
Doesn't he have a couple aliases as well?
He does. Yeah. So, yes,
Like,
I've read a lot about Godfrey Ho.
Looking at it right now, it like half his director credits say as, and they have a different name.
Yeah.
And I kind of find this one, Chi Chang Ho, is a good. I like that name. Anyway,
that's a name.
Continue.
That's an alias that he goes by.
That's for this one, which I'm not even going to try to pronounce this.
Well, the
movie
movie's
title,
got
but
a different cut too.
Yeah, which I also like the other title more, but we'll get to that probably maybe.
So let me read. These are going to be his titles from 1991 through 1979, and I won't read them all, but I'll read a few from each year. 91, Kickboxer the Champion. 1990, Lethal Panther. 1990, Ninja Empire. You'll find a common theme here. 1989, Full Metal Ninja. 1989, Zombie vs. Ninja. 1988, Rage of Ninja. 1988, Diamond Ninja Force. 1988, Robo Vampire. Then we have Ninja Death Squad, Ninja in Action, the Ninja Squad, Ninja the Protector, Ninja Dragon, Golden Ninja Warrior, Ninja Terminator, Ninja Champion, Ninja Thunderbolt, Revenge of the Drunken Master, Fist of the Golden Monkey, Leopard Fist Ninja, Rage of the Dragon, Snake Strikes Back. You can tell these are martial arts movies. What Godfrey Ho does, in one sense, is genius. And in the other sense, it's like depraved and straight lunacy. So he will hire crews like crews of actors, and an actor might span a couple different of these crews, but he will take them out and he will go on a location and film basically about 4, 5, 6 movies at one time. And he will take the footage and he will splice them all together to make more than 6 movies. So you will see reoccurring themes, or reoccurring scenes, I should say, not just themes, in movies, like directly lifted out of one of his movies and he puts it in another. And basically it's a way to make money. Undefeatable, I've watched some of his other movies. So they're not great. Like I've watched ones like Ninja Catman in something
Wait,
Force.
wait,
I don't
wait.
remember.
We had a option in Ninja Catman, and we went with Undefeatable.
Well, you would have really hated me if we watched a Catman movie. So one of the movies, the top one, 1993, as Alton Chung, is Catman in Boxer's Blow, and he's just got a bunch. But Undefeatable is like his. I haven't watched the one that came after it, Manhattan Chase, or that's like supposed to be one of his other really good ones. I haven't watched that one, but Undefeatable is like, it's like his life's work has been wrapped up in this movie. So that's one of the, I suggested this movie. This was one I wanted to watch with you. And I know you hadn't seen it before, but I have a storied past with just junk trash movies. And this is a movie. This is definitely a movie.
I like that when I Google Ninja Catman, it brings up Cartman from the anime episode of South Park for some reason.
I wonder if it's Ninja Cat. It's definitely Catman. Something Catman.
There was a Ninja Cat woman that came up in autofill, which that is just more anime. So
you should let me swallow my drink before you say stuff like that. So let me give you a really quick breakdown of the story, and then we can just totally get into talking about the movie itself.
Let's do it.
Cynthia Rothrock is the star of this movie. And if you don't know Cynthia Rothrock, she's like a martial arts actress. She's also an actual martial artist. But Cynthia Rothrock's character, Christy, is in a gang, but she's also involved in these back alley street fights to help pay her sister Karen's way through medical school. Paul / Stingray, he is a former mechanic turned deathmatch fighter who, after clearly too many blows to the head, becomes so violent that he rapes his own wife when she kind of objects to him, I guess, when she's cooking him a pan-fried steak, and she leaves him afterwards. He goes on this violent killing spree to try and find her, and he starts believing that any redhead in a floral dress is his wife. Like, he's totally delusional, and he kidnaps and he rapes and he kills these redheads, any of them that he can get his hands on. He's basically become this like serial killer. And Karen, Christy, aka Cynthia Rothrock's sister, is unfortunately a redhead. So is Cynthia Rothrock in this movie. So you can obviously imagine what happens next. And Christy gets caught participating in a street fight by a police detective named John Miller. And together, over time, John Miller and Christy, aka Cynthia Rothrock, decide that they're gonna work together to try and find Christy's sister's, Karen, like how she's missing. So they're gonna try and find her, and that leads them to Stingray. That's the setup. So
where do we start with this? Let's start where the movie starts, because this movie starts with a weird street fight, which is apparently choreographed by Janet Jackson right after the Rhythm Nation video came out.
Oh, the outfits?
Yes. Maybe not choreographed, but definitely like dressed by, or costumed by Janet Jackson.
Yeah.
I started laughing because there's literally two characters that have the naughty girl and the naughty boy hat from that music. I'm like, did people actually wear those outside of that music video? Because I was alive at this time, and granted, I was young and not in ninja gang fights, but I don't remember seeing anyone dressing like Janet Jackson to that extent. I remember that shit with Madonna, but not with Janet Jackson.
I think I don't remember people wearing the hats, but I do remember seeing them at like the mall or available,
I'm sure they're probably at, well, maybe not malls. I bet you could probably find them online now fairly easily, but...
Isn't it 1993? Wouldn't that have been like way past that Janet Jackson phase anyways?
I don't know. I'm not that up on my Janet Jackson history other than seeing that hat and recognizing it from said music video. So... these fight scenes, at least, this is an interesting movie as far as how because this movie is really just a excuse to go from one fight scene to another for the most part, with an occasional like rape or eye gouging going on in it.
Yeah.
But for the most part, this movie is just one fight scene to the next. Like there is a story there, but who cares for the most part. It's kind of weird. Like there's some points where the movie kind of throttles up and feels like it's an R-rated fight scene. Maybe this is just me, but I felt like this had a real like made for TV movie feel in the fight scene, or almost like a take out the turtles, obviously, but like a what was it, what year was the original Ninja Turtles? Was that 93 or 94?
I would think it was like 89.
Was it 89? Well, it almost has like that original Ninja Turtles feel, where the like the way the choreography and the way the fighting moves, it's like they fight, but kinda.
They fight so like mechanical and wooden, and I think that's just like, if you've seen Cynthia Rothrock's movies, that's kind of how her movies are. They're really like they're almost like technical to a fault. Like
I watched
they don't want to do
short
something
interview.
that's not like a technical thing.
Yeah, I watched a short interview with her, and she was talking about how her fights go, and it was more of a choreography thing than an actual fight in these movies, which makes sense. But I don't know. It didn't. There's moments where, well, I shouldn't say that. There's no moment where the fights in this feel like they're an actual fight. They all feel like early '90s movie fights, like from start to finish. Like there's no point where you think like, man, these guys are really beating the crap out of each other. They're not. But it does give it an interesting look to this film, and it does kind of date it for better or worse. I don't know. It's kind of funny. They also reuse the same sound effects through the entire fucking movie. There's, I think, a total of 4 different punch sounds that just get reused literally every 4 seconds. So
they've just got a drum machine with like the punches programmed
pretty
into it, so they can
much.
just hit the pads. And
Yeah, pretty much.
Until near the end, you don't see Cynthia Rothrock in anything but like mom jeans. She's wearing those, like, I don't know, they're not flattering, but I think they're to hide because she has pads. You can visibly see some like knee pads in some of the scenes and stuff like that. The villain of the movie, Paul, aka Stingray, and I'm just going to call him Stingray for the rest of the movie, is played by an actor, Don Niam, and I don't know if he doesn't. I think a lot of these actors. So the acting itself is not great, and it's like Cynthia Rothrock is like Meryl Streep compared to almost everybody in this movie, and I think all the other people in the movie are stuntmen.
I actually found myself liking Cynthia Rothrock quite a bit by the end of the movie, for better or worse.
Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure why, but I was like, yeah, she's fine. I kind of like her. Stingray, I was like, why is he constantly tweaking? Like, he can't sit still at any point in this movie. And he's got a couple moments where he's holding a gun or he's holding a knife or a sword or, whatever, gouging eyes out. Is he just gouging eyes out because he gets close to your eyes and he can't stop shaking, and then that's what, it's just collateral damage? Every time they show a close up of this dude, his eyes are like bugged out of his head, and he's just like tweaked out shaking. Like he's had 15 espressos, 4 bumps of coke, and some speed to go with it. Like, I'm amazed his heart didn't explode doing this movie.
He has a glorious mullet. He
does have that too. That's also
he
true.
Looks like, if you picture this, picture Seinfeld, like 1992, and Elaine Bennis's hairstyle, but put it on a guy, and that's basically Stingray's hair. And his transformation from Paul, the husband of Anna, to Stingray is basically just him spray painting or using that like red, or that like punk hairspray stuff.
I think it was actual spray paint
on 2 red stripes on his head. You don't see him like on his hair. You don't see it for the rest of the movie, but that's like the line of demarcation where he turns from this Paul, this psychopath, to Stingray, this like extreme psychopath.
Yeah.
He just, the switch flips, and he just goes on like I mentioned, this movie's full of redheaded women, and everyone has like a floral dress or something, and he'll just walk up to some lady, and she'll be with a guy, and he'll be like, Anna, what are you doing? why are you running away from me? And then they just get in a fight.
We should mention, if you want a good drinking game for this movie and you might want to die, take a drink every time that Stingray says Anna, because that's probably about 85% of his dialogue.
If you do want to do a drinking game to this movie, it's available on Tubi and Freevee for free with ads. And you can run it on Amazon for 99 cents.
See? Well, all the better.
Yeah.
So I don't really want to dwell on the rape scene just because it goes on for too long.
Super uncomfortable. It's like one of the most uncomfortable. I mean, not that I'm like a connoisseur of rape scenes or anything, but
sure,
it is just like the most. They focus on his face, well, for better or for worse. So you don't. It's not necessarily graphic in that they show a lot, but you can just hear his wife's crying, and it's like, oh my god, man, this is. I mean, not that
it's one of those things that there's several scenes in this movie that go on for like way too fucking long, but it's one of the scenes that it's especially you're like, all right, we know what's happening here. Do you really need to dwell on this? But the reason why I'm bringing it up is how come when she leaves him, she still makes him dinner again? Like he gets another half-cooked steak and like
a salad.
Is it a salad? I thought it was just like a bowl of broccoli and chicken or something like that. But whatever it is, like, okay, so you're leaving him because of all the abuse and all the emotional shit, because he hurts you and all this, and good, as you probably absolutely should. Why did you make him dinner?
Yeah, a nice healthy dinner too, like a salad.
Right.
There's a couple cherry tomatoes on there, making sure he gets all his
the dinner looked
vitamins.
Perfectly fine. Well, I'm assuming that steak was probably pretty fucked up if the last steak was to be, any indicator.
Burnt on one side, raw on the other. Just how I like it.
When you started eating that, I was like, really? Like that? You couldn't flip it over for like 2 seconds, put some kind of sear on it? Like, nothing? So
Paul is this. So Stingray / Paul is this underground deathmatch fighter. Near the beginning of the movie, they show his fight against the guy that he fought, and his promoter or whatever, his manager gives him. He's like, "Here's $20,000 for your fight," whatever, and he sets him up for this next fight, and he's like, "It's a big bucks. It's $100,000." Do like UFC fighters even make 20 grand in fights these days? It seems like the low level guys get nothing.
I don't think you do unless you're like on the main card, and even then I don't know that unless you're main event or like co-main event that you're making 20 grand.
You're making your money in brain damage.
Yeah,
that's your payment.
I would think that I don't. That's a conversation that I don't want to have, is how UFC fighters get paid, because it might make me like get mad at a sport that I like, and I'm already doing that enough with other sports. So let's not go into that. But it is a weird, like his underground like murder boxing or whatever the hell he's doing. It is a bizarre fight that they like kind of clip in, because they show this guy like on the ropes and he's just like, bleh, spitting and hemorrhaging blood everywhere, but he's almost making like googly faces at the camera at the same time while he's doing that. It's kind of a weird little scene.
He's definitely hamming it up, but Stingray has to make all this money because he's got to keep that mullet in peak condition. And there's a scene after his wife leaves him when he walks in the house after he gets his money, and he has like this red box or red bag or something full of, it just says Trojans on them, like really small. If you kind of they don't show it close up or anything. It's like, geez, dude, you got like a gross of condoms here you're just walking in the house with. Where's dinner? This is kind of right.
This is kind of right around the same time, like if we're going in the timeline of the movie, which we usually don't do. We mentioned in the interview about In Search of Darkness and Maniac Cop, we talked about a stuntman that almost died. How'd you like the stuntman that gets thrown off the parking garage into the pickup truck or whatever?
Behind the scenes, that was a second take.
It looks it, because he looks like he feels like shit when he's on the ground.
I read an interview with the guy who plays John Miller, the detective guy. What is his name? Doesn't really matter because he's not really been in anything since this movie. But
it's Nick something, I think.
John Miller. Oh, I'm sorry. Nick DeMarco is the character. It's
Yeah.
so forgettable. The actor's name is John Miller, but he said that basically there's two cuts of this movie. One cut is the English version, and there's like a Cantonese version that has English subtitles where they add extra scenes with more Asian actors because
Isn't that one only like 60 minutes long though?
It might be. I don't know the runtime, but they switch out scenes with these Asian actors, and Godfrey Ho basically told the crew, listen, there's no stars in this movie. It's not going to make any money in Asia. So we're going to put these Asian people in it. But John Miller says that the first take, they had an Explorer or something, a Ford Explorer.
Yeah.
Or whatever the car
SUV.
is. That
Bronco,
was just like just a crew member's car. And they did the first take, and the guy flipped over the wall or whatever and landed pretty good. And he was like, I thought they're going to have to call an ambulance, like take him to the hospital. And after a few minutes, the guy just rolls over, and Godfrey Ho, they're like, oh, is it okay? And Godfrey Ho, the director's like, no, let's run it one more time. So the guy has to do it again, and just totally blows out the car. And it was, like I said, it was like somebody's, like a crew member's car.
If you haven't seen this movie, what happens is Stingray is assaulting a random karate expert that happens to be at like this mall parking lot or wherever they are. And this is one of those movies where everyone in the movie, no matter
Fights.
what, like they're fighting and they're like black belt karate of some sort. Like even 4-year-olds are out there like doing ninja shit on their front lawn on the weekends.
This is like a precursor to Cobra Kai, to the Cobra Kai
Pretty
universe.
much. Yeah, very, very much so. But so Stingray goes up to this random redheaded woman, and it's just like, Anna, what are you doing with this dude? And she's like, I'm not your wife. And, they start wrestling and karate fighting and shit. Stingray pokes out his eyes. You can actually see him throw his eyes. Like when he takes his fingers out of his eyes, you see the eyes bounce off the ground, which is kind of entertaining. And they're in a parking garage. He hurls this guy over the ledge of the second story of the parking garage. And the way he falls, it's not a solid drop onto the car. It's like his back hits where the door and the roof meet. So it's going to like essentially snap his back. And then he just rolls onto the ground in like a very painful looking, unceremonious thud. And it's one of those stunts that you look at and you're like, man, that guy is not going to be doing well after this movie, like for quite a while. So, yeah,
like you said, there's just so many ridiculous scenarios that this movie goes into, and it's like you said earlier, it's just like a vessel to carry you to the next like action scene, to the next fight, because the whole movie's like premised around these back alley fights for money and death matches and whatever. You only get one death match. Cynthia Rothrock's in a few of these other movies, but I'm always surprised at this era of film when the movie's crap. Like it's a trash movie. Nobody's going to say this is like Citizen Kane or something like that, but it is so competently filmed. Like it looks good. The gore, whatever. I mean, the eyeball poking and all that stuff looks kind of crummy, but like from a technical standpoint, it's like this is perfectly serviceable. This movie is like, it actually looks really good, even if the people on screen for the most part are just bozos that can barely act. Like I read something that said Cynthia Rothrock mentioned in an interview that the actors were so bad they couldn't remember their lines. They had to put like the words, the script, like write the things out and put them on her forehead, so when she was facing them, they knew the lines. I mean, that's pretty
something.
Yeah.
You say that about the gore, but I don't think the gore or the things that you see in this movie look any worse than what's a movie we didn't than some of the gore that's in Renfield or Winnie the Pooh. I mean,
it's not horror movie gore standards.
Sure.
Like,
and obviously,
other than that, it's all technically really good.
Yeah, I did like. I don't want to jump all the way to the end, but there is a practical effect in the end of the movie, which we'll come back around to, that I thought was pretty comical how it was done, just because you can see where all the wires are as they execute it. But No, I mean, you're right though. This movie does look good. The stunt work in it is questionably homicidal, but definitely well done. Like it looks good on film. Acting and storytelling, like the dialogue is fucking terrible in it. And
It's
it, like I said,
laughably bad.
yeah, and it sounds. That's why I said it feels like a early '90s made for TV movie. Is the dialogue's bad? The aside from when it goes R rated, the action sequences aren't anything spectacular. And yeah, it's just how do we get these characters into this room and have them put on football pads and do kung fu for some reason?
It's almost like a Street Fighter the movie, moving from Cynthia Rothrock, moving from ridiculously
I read that,
outfitted opponent to the next one.
yeah, I read that she was the Cynthia Rothrock was the uh, base for the character. What's her name? Sonya Blade in Mortal Kombat. So I guess it
Oh,
is like a Street Fighter in that sense. So
yeah.
I have no idea how accurate that is, but YouTube said it, so it must be true, right?
It has to absolutely be true if it's on YouTube or you
That's right.
Googled it.
I didn't Google it. I wouldn't have thought of that otherwise. So um let's see. What else do we want to talk about on this? Do you have any points you want to bring up that I'm missing? I'm sure there's a ton before we get to how this movie ends.
No, I think that this movie, if you have heard of this movie before, more than likely it's because you've heard of the final fight scene, which that's how I discovered the movie like 10 years ago. It's considered, or it went viral at some point for being like the most ridiculous fight scene in movie history. Supposedly that's like the viral thing it went for. And it's just bananas. Like it's basically a live action Dragon Ball Z fight. Like there are almost like powering up to go Super Saiyan level 2 in
It's
in this
got
scene.
all the kung fu stereotypes in it. It's got them all like in a 3-minute scene roughly. Like it starts with one dude has a knife, the other doesn't. They kick it away, then they somehow somewhere in the middle of this they get extremely lubed up, but they take their shirts off for no apparent reason. They both
Yeah.
have parachute pants on for some reason and do a lot of kicking and punching. I found it really funny. This is one of the things I didn't like about that fight scene, where because I don't think it's believable. They have a lot of moments where it looks like they literally will, like, character A will throw like 3 or 4 punches on character B and then stop and just kind of sit there with his fist up, and character B will just return the exact same amount of punches.
The
It's
same
almost like
sequence almost.
they're consciously like, okay, it's your turn to punch me now. Okay. And I mean, I guess that works from a movie standpoint, but watching it, I'm like, why would you stop punching him? Like, why wouldn't you
You've
just
got the advantage.
continue? Yeah, like if you hit him 4 times in a row, hit him 4 more times and put his ass on. This guy's a serial killer. Like, fuck him up. Yeah.
And it all takes place in like the loading dock of a hospital. You remember
Yes.
they were upstairs in a hospital and they go
Mhm.
downstairs like at the loading dock and there's like a hook, there's like a nail sticking out of the wall, there's like little practical weapons they can. It's like what hospital is this?
Yeah, I like the I don't know if it was just a nail or I don't know, whatever the hell they like took it. So spoilers if you haven't watched this movie, like Stingray gets fucked up in the end because of course he does. Um when they slammed his head into the wall, I don't know if I wasn't paying attention or if I just didn't see it or if it was just movie magic. It was there all of a sudden. I was like, what the hell did they just shove his face into? Like you immediately put together what happened because he's
Yeah,
been taking people's eyes out. They're like, oh, okay,
an eye
there's
for an
something on
eye,
the wall
so to
that,
speak.
right. But did I miss whatever they jammed in his face, or does that just again movie magic where it's like, well, something was on that wall apparently?
It was like a nail, like a
Okay.
nail head sticking out or something.
I do like that he took a second to kind of, you could see him physically push himself off the wall, and you heard a little like sploosh sound with it when he did it. So
And there's
that
like
was
a split
entertaining.
second when they're fighting right after that where his eyes open
Right.
that you see,
So
and it's like, oh, I guess it just miraculously healed itself. No
yeah.
worries.
Um, but the climax to this is he gets put. So Stingray continues, you know, exchanging blows with Jimmy Johnson or whatever the cop's name is.
Nick DeMarco.
Nick DeMarco. That's right. The actual actor's name was
John Miller.
Wasn't it?
Yeah.
John, whatever.
Screwed that up.
That's fine. So they're wrestling and they're fighting and stuff, and his other eye, his good eye, gets jammed into some sort of dry cleaning machine, I guess, with hangers that are on it.
That goes to the ceiling, like a 20-foot ceiling.
Yeah, the only thing I could think of is because the cage that they kick the gun under is marked as a linen closet, which I was like, why do they need a padlock like on a linen closet that's got a chain link fence for a door? But I digress. Yeah. So they jam this hanger or whatever in his eye, and then you can see the wires that are going around his groin to actually hold his body weight up as it lifts him up to the ceiling and starts, tooling him around this garage. And you get one not great one-liner, but I gotta say, Detective Skalowitz or whatever, his one-liner at the end of this movie is the worst fucking one-liner I've heard in any action movie ever. You're right. So
it's like he doesn't know how to say it. He like puts emphasis on the wrong word or something.
They both make him do eye puns. Like, okay, you fucked up his eyes. You get it. Christy or whatever, she says, keep an eye out for you, Stingray, as he's like floating away. They should have just left it there because that was bad, but at least it was like, all right, whatever. And then he goes, yeah, see ya. Oh, fuck you.
That's what makes it great. That's what makes it great.
It's great in that bad way, but it is, like I said, I can't think of a worse one-liner than this one-liner that's at the end of this fucking movie. And if I'm wrong, whether it's in the comments of this show, if there's only a couple people on this live, if I'm wrong, if you can think of a worse one-liner, please tell us one way or another at some point, because we'll talk about that movie too. So you mentioned you had a lot to cover. Do you want to hit any other things? Like I'm kind of running out of stuff that I really need to talk about on this one.
Oh no, that's good. I'm good.
You're feeling good?
We could actually bring up that fight scene and play it in this live stream if you want.
Sure.
That ending?
Let's do it.
All right. Give me a second here.
Do you want to do that after hot dogs or do you want to do that before hot dogs?
No, I'll just do it now.
All right. Let's go ahead and get a copyright strike while we're at it.
No, we'll talk over it.
Yeah. So,
what's this movie? Undefeatable. What's this movie called?
I think I said that to you like 12 times this week.
It's a very forgettable title. Like I kept thinking Unbreakable.
I think I said that at one point. I think I called it several different things. I don't know. Again, I'm not sure that undefeatable is a word.
Whoa. Did you hear that?
No.
Okay. Here, let me get past this ad. If that's even what this is.
Damn ads.
Yeah. What is it? It's like a Star Wars. Okay, here we go.
We could just commentate about the ad.
We could. What fun would that be?
Depends on what the ad's about. Is it the toxic poop guy? Because that guy's usually worth talking about.
The mucoid stool?
Yeah, that guy.
All right.
Oh, look at this.
Check this out. Oh.
No.
I also think that's the dull end of the knife that he's got at her throat.
Oh, yeah.
But
absolutely.
I mean, you can probably do a little damage with the tip, but yeah.
Well, I think the other side looks like it's actually sharpened, but
the other side is supposed to be sharpened because he's got a blood fetish at some point in this movie where he starts looking at it.
I read that knife was actually designed by the same guy that designed the Cobra Stallone knife.
Oh. Don't they make a Cobra reference in this movie?
Oh, I don't know.
I thought I heard
that guy killed people and took their eyes too, didn't he?
I think so. I haven't seen that in forever, so I think they have
to do it.
We talked about it. We haven't done a Stallone movie yet, so we're probably due for one.
So I read also that these guys that Godfrey Ho was really into these guys working out, like getting buff.
Obviously,
so they were all.
If you watch the movie,
they were all swole, so that's why they moved so wooden. Because Ho wanted them to. Oh yeah, here comes the lick. wanted them to flex a lot and pump, show their definition off.
Well, yeah, if you watch Detective Kimball's little like workout session that goes for like 20 minutes at the beginning of the movie, he's clearly like roided up for at least 6 weeks before this.
Stingray, for the audience at home, is clearly the one, not that guy, the other guy.
I do like the drool. I forgot about that. It just.
Oh, Tiger Claw. I like this part too, where he crosses. He like looks at his arms like that, so he can rip his shirt off.
I do like the sound effects they have going here, where they're just kind of grunting and screaming at each other.
Yeah, I think they're just in stereo there for a second.
Right.
Oh, look at that, nice. So there you go. He loses the knife.
That hurts my wrist just seeing it. So.
They must have had a sale on Z Cavaricci's at the local, I don't know, Gene and Top or whatever.
They have a pretty good pair of Zubas in an earlier point of the movie too.
Oh, the guy with the football pads?
With football pads, yeah, Bear or whatever.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, knife.
Right. I almost feel like you just narrate over this with, well, this goes on for some time.
It's only 5 minutes with the commercial baked into the beginning.
Right.
What else have we got to do?
Not much. I mean, it's Monday, right? So.
Christy Jones, our protagonist.
Yeah, see, where is this thing that's... Oh, yeah, here comes the Howell assault.
Killer Towel. Towley. Attack of Towley.
Right. With the sling on her arm, which I imagine that would...
Oh, there you go.
I guess so it is there. Okay.
Yeah.
I saw it this time.
I was going to back it up, but no need for that. Yeah.
I think we got the idea. So. Oh, yeah. Some more acrobatics here.
Like that?
Yeah. Apparently the lunch trays are in the laundry room for some reason. Yeah, here we go.
All right, here we go. Here's the big payoff.
Oh! And yeah, that will ruin your afternoon.
How come I always wondered why he only tries to pull himself off with the one hand, and the other one he's clearly just wiggling it around.
I will keep an eye out for you, Stingray.
Yeah. See ya.
God, it's so bad. Again, not a doctor. I don't know that would actually kill you. It certainly wouldn't be pleasant, but would it kill you?
Getting hooked in the eye like that? Yeah, probably.
Probably. All right. I'll go with it.
All right. So I just had to... Known for the fight scene. I think the title of that video was actually worst fight scene of all time.
See, I saw it as both worst and best. So, I mean, whatever. Hot dog time?
Hot dog time.
Hot dog time. Lead us off this time.
All right. Hot dogs. So I've watched this movie at least 10 times. I still feel like I still feel like when I watch it, I find something in the background that I've never noticed before that I can laugh about. Just some ridiculous thing that's going on. Some like the eagle guy, like with the apple, and he like squeezes the apple and it's clearly just all mushy and gross. It's not the best film ever, but it is probably the best film by Godfrey Ho. Like I said, he did the thing where he filmed, 6 movies at one time and would make 12 out of them. So as you can imagine, those aren't great films by any stretch of the imagination. This whole movie takes itself so seriously. Like, we've been riffing on it and kind of joking about stuff that happens in the movie, but it is deadpan drama. They don't play it up to the camera. They don't act like it's over the top, but it is definitely over the top. It's just silly for silly's sake. Cynthia Rothrock again isn't the greatest actor, but she looks like Meryl Streep compared to the rest of the cast. And like I said before, the cast is basically just all stuntmen. They're probably just taken off the line. Like, hey guys, we'll give you a SAG card or whatever if you're in this film. I don't know if stuntmen have their own union or whatever, but I think that the film's worth watching for its final scene alone. I love Undefeatable. I've watched it more than I've watched Black Devil Doll from Hell, and I gotta give it 5.5 spray painted mullets out of 6 hot dogs.
Oh wow, we went off a 6 hot dog. That's
Switching
interesting.
it up.
All right. I don't love or hate this movie. I mean, this movie to me is kind of just right in the middle of what a movie like this is. Like if you told me you were gonna like have me watch a 1990s movie with white people doing karate, this is kind of what I would expect. It doesn't necessarily blow anything out of the water one way or the other. It has some memorable scenes in it. But at the end of the day, it's really just a vehicle to go from one fight scene to another for about an hour and a half until someone pokes an eye out, which is kind of okay. It's fun. It feels like the kind of movie that if you had like a 6-pack of beer and some like pizza or something, like it'd be a good one just to kind of go have on. Like if you had some buddies over for some, dumb shit marathon or something like that. This feels like that kind of thing. And it's kind of a nice change of pace for some of the stuff that we usually talk about too. So that's always a good thing. I can't say I see myself going back and watching this 10 times, but I wouldn't be
missing out.
I wouldn't be surprised if I go back and watch it, 1 or 2 more times. I'd give it, 5 seared hot dogs on one side and raw on the other side out of 10 hot dogs. So
I think you hit it on the head though. This movie is one that's like, get your buddies together, watch it, laugh at it, drink, partake in some other substance at your disposal, and just it plays it so damn seriously that it's just hard to take it seriously, because there's no like whimsy, there's no joking around. I don't even know if there's like a funny, like they say a line intentionally that's supposed to be funny. It's like, I don't know, like Godfrey Ho or whoever wrote this was just like, God damn it, I'm gonna get respect from American audiences. And this is the movie that he puts out, and it's just like, this is so ridiculous. I don't know how you thought that people were going to take this seriously. That's why I like it so much.
I mean, I'm with you. So, question of the week. So, if you haven't answered the question of the week and you're in the chat, feel free to answer. The question of the week is pretty simple. And what is your favorite B martial arts movie? We could be a little lenient with answers on this, because when we thought about this question, I think my first question was, what the hell is a B martial arts movie? So do what you can do with it. But we have some replies. So from our friends over at Podcast in the Woods, they recommended the movie Best of the Best, which Boomer said, this was one of my favorites as a kid. Pretty good drama and one very exciting tournament. I haven't seen it, but I don't doubt it. Make sure to follow them. Yes, make sure to follow Podcast in the Woods. They do great stuff, and they have episodes coming out all the time. Cinema Poison at Cinema Poison said Ninja 3, The Domination, and it's not even close. Haven't seen this either. Apparently, I haven't seen the right.
John.
Okay. Dude, I watched a lot of like non-American ninja movies, so maybe that's where my problem is, because I'm just like
Shokazugi,
cultured.
Man. Enter the Ninja, Revenge of the Ninja, Ninja 3, The Domination.
Well,
we got to get watching that.
Sounds like we're gonna have a whole ninja movie month.
We will.
Our friends over at the Grace Taproom Podcast, you can follow them at Grace Taproom Pod, said Surf Ninjas. I remember this when it came out, but I don't remember much of it. I just remember it being very what's the word I'm looking for? Not schlocky, but kind of cheesy, and it's a very time capsule, much like this. It's a time capsule of the 90s. So, and then last we have at 1057 Just said American Ninja, and there is some dudes in yellow jumpsuits jumping around back and forth. I don't know this one either. So
You don't know American Ninja? Michael
no, I
Dudikoff?
don't know. I don't know shit
Oh
about
my
shit.
God, we're gonna have Ninja November. I think this aggression cannot stand. You have to watch the Shokazugi American Ninja movie, American Ninja. That's Shokazugi's, not American Ninja, but the Ninja series.
Oh, shit.
Those are two great selections. I gotta agree, big time.
My answer for this is not very good because I apparently don't have enough of a backstory on this, and a lot of the stuff I watch that's in the like martial arts category would be like more from like the 50s and 60s, like the Shaw Brothers type stuff,
Yeah.
and I don't really think that fits this kind of vibe. So I just went with Hard Target. It's got kind of a lot of like, it's got Jean-Claude hamming it up, it's got him punching a snake, it's got Brimley blowing shit up. It works for me. I don't think it's the best movie, but I would say it's kind of borderline this type of movie, and apparently I haven't seen enough of these movies to really have an opinion otherwise. Next time we ask this question, I'll have a better answer maybe.
No, come on, don't do me like that. That's fine. If you haven't seen those movies, that's fine. I mean, but I'm just saying, I know a guy. He can hook you up with a lot of really shitty, hilarious
Yeah, I'm aware.
ninja movies. But the Shaw Brothers stuff, I mean, it's not, I think it's made seriously, but it's not serious. I mean, those things are there's like they're like legends, right? They kind of, a lot of Wu-Tang stuff, it seems like.
Well, yeah, but there's also like a culture barrier there, and I don't know, like, I'm not a Japanese or Chinese, I don't know that culture. I don't know what is and isn't serious there, and where you're seeing it all through a second language and you're reading everything in captions, like, it comes off a certain way, but I don't know if that's how it's perceived from that lens. So I don't want to call it like
the original intent was supposed to be.
Yeah. Or for that matter, if it came off that way in the 50s or the 60s when that came out. Like, you look at it now and say, like, okay, yeah, the One-Armed Swordsman is a goofy movie. It's a dude with one arm running around, like, hacking shit up. Sure. But if you look at it, 70 years ago, it might not have looked that way. So I don't
movie about a guy with one arm hacking shit up.
Yeah. Well, maybe.
I don't know.
So
I don't know.
What's your answer for this one?
I was going to go with Barry Gordy's The Last Dragon because that movie's, have you seen that one?
I think so. That's the
Bruce Leroy. Show Enough.
Yeah. It's been a while, but yes, I've seen that one.
The Glow. I was going to go with that, but who mentioned Ninja 3?
Let me get back to it. Keep talking.
Well, I was going to say
Cinema Poison, at Cinema Poison.
I got Cinema Poison swayed me because, like I said, I was going to say Barry Gordy's The Last Dragon, but now remembering Ninja 3 is that's the cream of the crop. Like, that is, the girl from Breakin' and Breakin' 2.
Yeah, they put a poster with it.
Yeah,
it looks like a Ninja Gaiden cover or something like that. So
she's like the main character, and she gets the spirit of an evil ninja possesses her, and so she turns into the evil ninja. And I believe Shokazugi is the good ninja. And if you aren't familiar with who, I think Shokazugi. Did you ever see Ninja Assassin? It was like from 2000.
I think so.
7. It was like
it's kind of the hard thing with all these movies too, is like when you put ninja as like half the title for all these movies, it's hard to pick them apart.
Well, I feel like reading through those credits, and there's 500 zillion
ninja whatever.
Yeah, ninja things that he did. Let me see.
The last movie has a movie he's probably got a movie called Ninja whatever. So
yeah, Shokazugi's last movie was Ninja Assassin. So, but he was like 9 Deaths of the Ninja. You probably have seen the cover for that. He was like for me, he was like the original I'm a ninja. Like, and you could believe that he was a ninja. I don't know. He was just in all those, in Revenge of the Ninja, the original, whatever, the Enter the Ninja, all that stuff. So yeah, but we'll have to do a Ninja November or something, because there's just too much The American Ninja series too. That's a great callback. That would be. I think American Ninja 2 might be maybe my favorite of the series, but I mean, even like Jim Cotta is pretty fucking ridiculous.
I mean, I'm all for it if we can kind of splice in some of the like actual Asian stuff too with it. So
You'll have to suggest those.
That's fine. We can do whatever. I don't.
I got
care
too
what
many
we do.
ninja movies in my head that we need to watch.
It's not like we're going anywhere. We can continue to talk about weird, random fucking movies. That's kind of what we do around here. So
that's kind of our shtick.
That's our shtick. You got anything you want to add before we start wrapping on this?
No, if you're out there and you want to watch Undefeatable, like I said, it is free on Tubi. It is free on Freevee, and those are both ad supported. You can rent it for 99 whopping cents on Amazon Prime. So go out there and do it, because Undefeatable is definitely a movie that needs to be experienced.
Yes, but do it on Tubi, because I like Tubi more than Amazon. I'd rather have them get the ad revenue than Amazon get 99 more cents.
And they're giving us a kickback. So
yeah, clearly or maybe someday. So
no, they are for sure.
Yeah. So, all right. I think that's all we got for this week. So we're going to wrap up here. Thank you to the people in the chat that have stuck around with us. That's always appreciated, even though you guys just left. That's cool. Whatever. In the future, or if you want to, we would appreciate if you give us a follow. We are at Dewey Pod Monster on pretty much everything. So we're on X, Instagram, Threads, the Slasher app, Mastodon. Good luck finding anyone on there, including us, but we're on there. TikTok, several other things. So absolutely give us a follow there. That's where I post the question of the week. That's where you can respond to it, and you will get your answers read on this Winnebago of a podcast. Sean, what do you got going on? What do you want to add to that?
Well, I was just going to say, if you want your question of the week answered on the show, like John said, visit on whatever platform he posts the question. I spaced out, so I didn't hear what he was saying, but you can go to that platform and answer it. Also, we're still waiting on feedback. John and I would love to do some movie watches with the audience. And if you're interested in that sort of thing, let us know. You can find us at crap.town. I don't know if John mentioned that. I'm sure he probably did again, but I was spacing. But if you're interested in Michigan beer content and all the stuff about Michigan beer, you can find me at youtube.drafttherapy.com. You can also follow me on all the social media networks at Draft Therapy. I actually posted something this week. You could have read it if you were following me.
Yeah. So I posted some hot dogs today, so go check that out. So that's it. That's all we got. So we'll be back next week with whatever the next thing is that we're talking about. So hey, yeah, let us know what you want us to talk about. If before we get out of here, if you do want us to talk about a movie, I don't care what the genre is or whatever. Want us to talk about a horror movie? Want us to talk about an action movie, a ninja movie, a porn movie, whatever?
A weird movie.
Us know. A weird movie. Send us a message on any social media. Whatever. Just let us know if we do take requests. So please send them on over. So yeah, that's it. We're done now.
Bye-bye.